I'm back, and it's time to collect vintage Star Wars playsets. Welcome back to the journey. So, if you're new to my channel, in my last series, I collected the entire loose Kenner Star Wars collection made from 1977 to 1985. So if you want to go back and watch that journey, please do so, as it's gonna let you know what's in store for this new series. And we are collecting playsets. And we're gonna do two things in this first episode. Number one, how many playsets were actually made by Kenner in the years of 1977 to 1985? And two, what do I want to collect? And I believe that anything that you start collecting, whether it be He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers, or in my case, Star Wars, is to do the research and have a game plan of what you want to collect along your journey. And since we're dealing with playsets, you or I have to ask myself, do I want to get them boxed, loose, or graded, or all of the above? So like I did in my first series, let's go over the rules for this collection run. And I've decided that I want to get them boxed. And whether they're mint in sealed box, which basically means that they have never been opened before and still have the factory seals on them, and the contents inside have never been opened or disturbed before. So if I can buy them mint in sealed box, I'm gonna do that. And when I do that, I'm gonna consider either buying a loose version or renting or borrowing a loose version so I can show you guys exactly what that playset's about, do a review on it, and be able to touch and feel them, but most importantly, show you. But if I can buy a boxed version that's already opened so I can actually take out the item and show you, I'm gonna do that. If it came with instructions, I'm gonna get the instructions. If it came with a small catalog, I'm gonna get the catalog. I would like it to be as complete as possible. And the box has to be in decent condition, meaning that the box still has to have its structural integrity. It can't be falling over and it can't be turning into dust. It can't come with a missing flap. It can't come torn down the middle with tape all over it. I want these boxes to be in the best condition as possible. That way they can be perfectly displayed. And the final and most important rule, I can't buy anything made after the year 1985, meaning that all the items I collect have to be made by Kenner in between the years of 1977 to 1985, not a reproduction at all. No repro accessories, stickers, inserts, box art. It all has to be original Kenner. You know how we roll around here. Now, you can go down the rabbit hole of variants with box items all day long. Now, take the Turret and Probot playset. There is a boxed variant, one that says Turret and Probot playset, and the other that says Turret/Probot playset. And on this run, I'm not gonna get them both. However, I will still do the research and tell you about it, and if I find a great deal on both of them, I'm gonna get them. But it has to be a crazy deal for me to do that. Which brings me to another point. Well, how do you know what a great deal is? And that's where researching not only the playset itself comes into play, but what the current market prices are for that particular playset, or all the playsets. And there's a few ways that I do this. So you can go on eBay and search what these have been sold for currently. And I like to look at past sold items because it gives you a real world idea of what collectors are paying for these exact items. And try only to find items that have been sold in the last few months, and don't go back any more than a few months, or else the prices will be incorrect. And you might be looking at prices that are too high or way too low for the current market price. And another good way to do it is to go to the Facebook collecting groups. Join vintage Star Wars collecting groups and do searches on items that may have been sold recently. And these prices will usually be lower than eBay because they are from collector to collector sales, and not from a brick and mortar store or somebody who sells on eBay professionally. And a third way to do it, and one that I always use, is that you can contact collectors directly and those who you know have bought these items or sold these items to get a good idea of where they could be in today's current market prices. And of course, condition comes into play. If it's mint in sealed box, or if the item is missing certain things like inserts or accessories, that always drives the price down. Or at least it should. Now, I am no expert. I am truly a Padawan going on this new journey. And I'm glad that I did that loose collection first, because it got me in the habit of not only using one of those research methods, but all of them at the same time. It may be a lot at first, but trust me, when you do it, you'll thank yourself. And I may have annoyed some collectors with my questions. It's why the groups are there. This is a hobby, and doing the research is part of the hobby. At least that's what I think. But in doing the research, there are a couple items that made me scratch my head. And it made me really think, is it really a playset? And should it be on my list? And one of those I'm talking about is the Jabba the Hutt action playset. And in most of my research on the internet and some collector forums, they categorize Jabba the Hutt's action playset as belonging to the creatures category. But it says right there on the box, action playset. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put up a poll and ask that question. And whatever the results of the poll are, is what I'll update my collection sheet to reflect. So it's really up to you guys. And the other thing, regional variations on playsets. And let's take the most famous of these, the Death Star space station from Kenner and the Death Star playset from Palitoy. I won't be going down that rabbit hole either. I'm gonna focus on the US variations and not worry about the regional variations that were made from Palitoy or other toy companies, such as the Droid Factory, made again from Palitoy. Now in the future I may get those if I find a great deal, but for now, I'm gonna keep it strictly the USA releases. However, when I do collect a playset and there are regional variants, I'm definitely gonna tell you what they are, do some research on them, and list some current market prices in case you're interested how much those actually are. So with that being said, let's make my checklist. And if you were with me on my last series, you know exactly about my checklist. And I've listed, to my knowledge, the complete set of the USA Kenner variants. And I listed them in the order that they were released. So this might be a good starting point for you if you never knew how many exact playsets were released from Kenner, at least in the USA region. And we're gonna start in 1978 with the Death Star Space Station. And then also in 1978, the Cantina Adventure Set. Now, this is hard to find complete and boxed, so I'm gonna try my hardest to find this one in that state. But if I have to get one loose, then I will. And this might be my grail because it's hard to find boxed. Believe me, I've tried searching for it already. Then from 1979, the Land of the Jawas playset. And also in 1979, the Creature Cantina action playset. And last for 1979, the Droid Factory. And this is one that I can't wait to get my hands on because of the play factor on this one. And how many endless possibilities that there are to make droids. Now, I already have the R2 unit, so if I get one that's missing the R2, that will be perfect. I might save some money, but I'm gonna try to get it boxed, each and every one of these. In 1980, the Hoth Ice Planet Adventure Set, which basically used parts from the Land of the Jawas playset. And in 1980, Darth Vader's Star Destroyer. Now, some people say that this is a ship and not a playset, but I disagree. It's a playset. Also in 1980, the Cloud City playset, and I've heard through the grapevine that this playset is very hard to get boxed or at all, so we'll have to see if they are right. And next we have the Turret and Probot playset, which I already have, but I'm gonna do a full review episode on this very soon so I can give this playset the time and the quality that it deserves. So that'll be coming up probably pretty soon. And next we have the Imperial Attack Base made in 1981. Then the Dagobah action playset from 1981. And this one I can't wait to get my hands on because I had a friend who had this when I was growing up and I always wanted to have one of my own. One day, hopefully. And then we have the Rebel Command Center, which again is taken from the same mold of the Land of the Jawas playset and given a new cardboard background. Smart. I think it's smart. And then in 1983, the Ewok Village action playset. And this one is one of the best playsets in my opinion because of how many features it comes with. And now we come to another one that I may get a variant of. The 1983 Kenner released Jabba the Hutt Dungeon action playset. That's a mouthful, but it came with 3 action figures made for the Return of the Jedi release of toys. But in 1984, they released a second variant of the same playset, but now with 3 different action figures that were from the yet to be released Power of the Force line of toys, and they tinted the mold a different color. Now, I'll keep them both on this list for now and decide whether I should get them both or not. So that is my list. 15 playsets from Kenner that I believe are the essential playsets that a collector should have to be considered a complete playset collection. So what do you think about my list? Do you think this list is complete? Or do you think I should list a variants from, let's say, Palatoy? Let me know your thoughts on that. But for now, I'm gonna keep those off. But if I find a great deal on them, I'm gonna add them in, of course. And it's gonna be a long journey on this one. These playsets are sometimes hard to find and expensive to obtain. So I have to be really strategic in my budgeting and in my hunting. And I may not do this journey week to week, but in between then, I'm also gonna be doing new runs, like a grading run, a mint on card run, and some other runs that I think are cool, like the Star Wars Topps collection. So there's gonna be episodes every Sunday. So for next week, what's my first playset? The Death Star Space Station. We always go big or go home, and I wanted to start this first series out with a bang. So for next episode, we are gonna open this thing up because it is not factory sealed. We're gonna review what's inside, we're gonna clean and restore it, do a full history of this, and we're also gonna check and make sure that it's complete. Welcome back to the journey. So if you found this video interesting, please hit that like button. That does support the channel. And if you want to see more Star Wars and collecting content from me, please consider subscribing. And also, hit that notification bell so you know when episodes go live. I post videos every Sunday and bonus content throughout the week. And as always, my friends, thank you, and I will see you next time. It is really good being back. I actually miss doing episodes. All right, that is it.
If you're new to the channel, check out the welcome video, or just check out the next episode. And please subscribe if you want to follow the journey. And remember, there is no shame in being a Padawan.